imperative for their survival. However, most of their time is spent sleeping, waiting, and sitting around idly. When the young goshawks are bigger and stronger, the delivery of supplies starts to become increasingly unruly. Sometimes many hours will have passed between feeding times, which means that the offspring are very hungry, and it's every man for himself. Here is where the claws come into action and where the feathers begin to fly. The adult birds sometimes only stay for seconds, throwing the prey into the nest before taking straight off again. The female only returns to the nest for feeding when the offspring are around 3 weeks old. However, even when the young ones are alone in the nest, the parent always has an eye out. The danger that an enemy will take advantage is too great. Anything that comes too close to the nest will be attacked. The adult goshawk is quite prepared to take on opponents far bigger than themselves. This eventually becomes apparent even to this golden eagle, but it's a dangerous game. The golden eagle could in one vice-like grip kill the goshawk. But the goshawk has the advantage. It is much more agile and faster. Again and again it swoops down on the larger eagle. It only ceases its attack when the eagle withdraws and the danger for the offspring has been averted. It is the biggest and heaviest eagle in Central and Northern Europe, the white-tailed eagle. This emblematic bird's wingspan can reach up to 2 meters 40, and it can weigh up to 7 kilos. Their population across Europe also dramatically declined until the middle of the 20th century. Thanks to extensive protective measures, the situation has now significantly improved. Today, there are more sea eagles breeding in Central Europe than for the last 100 years. Nearly half of the breeding pairs live on the coast of Norway, and thus in an environment of extreme climatic conditions. However, here the bird can find a secure spot to build its nest in the calm forests along the vastness of the Atlantic and the extensive open countryside. Those who want to survive here must be prepared to adapt. The sea eagle, in this respect, is truly adept. It'll hunt whatever is indigenous to the surrounding environment. Here it will hunt primarily for fish. These it'll hunt over flat and calm waters, where it can better pinpoint them. Although a breathtaking backdrop, high up in the north and on the rugged coastline of the Atlantic, it doesn't always remain so romantic. Above all when the fog rolls in from the sea to the land. It's not unusual that such conditions will be followed by entire days of bad weather. At such times, the nursery of the sea eagle becomes pretty uncomfortable. The powerful flapping of the wings not only invigorates the muscles, but helps to keep warm. There are not many birds of prey in Europe that have to endure such extreme changeable weather. A stable nest, however, offers an excellent protection. Were it not for the bothersome screeching seagulls, Above all, when the adult bird brings its catch back to their nest. Considering the pesky troublemakers, the female doesn't remain long at the nest. She throws the food in and quickly takes off again. The young eagles will have to deal with the grumblings of the neighbours on their own. A nest in a tree, directly on the coast of Norway, is an exception. Most of the breeding grounds of a sea eagle can be found here, directly on the ground or on cliffs. The sea eagles are very adaptable in matters concerning their diet. Mostly they'll hunt fish and waterfowl. Mammals make up only a small part of their diet and are mostly carrion. Which species will be hunted depends on what is on offer locally and what each season offers up. For now, during the rearing of the offspring, fish will play the major part of their diet. The young have already learnt that their large beaks will only serve them well if regularly cleaned. After 80 to 90 days, the young are fully fledged and take leave of the nest. The offspring will remain under the care of their parents for some time before eventually flying off to find their own territory. Whereas the adult birds usually remain close to the breeding ground for the entire year, the young roam far and wide and eventually leave. Until that point, however, they are killing time. Everything interesting will be investigated. Perhaps it's something to eat, or at least something to be played with. Back to the forest of the goshawk. Much has happened in the nest. The young ones will certainly soon leave the nest. In contrast to the adult birds, the young goshawks have another colouring. They've got a red tint to their underbelly with black spots. Before they'll leave the nest, they'll have to do some intensive flight muscle training. It will be vital for their future. Despite such concerns, the young goshawks are easily distracted from learning and training. Now, at an age of between 40 to 45 days, they'll make their first attempts to branches close by. They will spend most of their time sitting on other branches close to the nest. They can't as yet fly properly and therefore will remain for a further 4 weeks and continue being cared for by the parents. The young ones always stay close enough to the nest so that they can get back quickly again. For now, 1 or 2 of them are still a bit shaky on their legs. Over the course of time, the distances will increase until neighbouring trees can be reached with a hop and a flutter. Their flight muscles during this period are constantly being trained so that their early leaps develop into short flights. Over the course of the summer, the young goshawks will finally leave their parents' terrain. From then on, they'll have to deal with everything alone. The young kestrel, on the other hand, is comparatively spoilt by its parents and receives its food already prepared into bite-sized pieces. Their home, however, is not an island, and in this forest they are not alone. When the adults leave to hunt, it's dangerous, and the offspring have to fend for themselves. However, what returns is certainly no kestrel, but instead a young, very hungry goshawk. The young in an unguarded nest are easy pickings. Birds of prey have no inhibitions to kill their fellow species. What can be overpowered will be battered. The goshawk is more than capable of taking the offspring of other goshawks from a foreign nest and then feeding them to its own. It is only their own offspring that will be spared. The kestrel has noticed the attack. Birds of prey only perceive movement. For those who play dead, there is a chance. But in this case, the young goshawk kills one after another. The adult kestrels have to watch helplessly. Their rescue came not only too late, but they are also powerless because the young hawk is totally unperturbed. No one is going to separate it from such rich pickings. At the end of it all, only one young kestrel has survived. Extremely few birds of prey are killed by their fellow species. For most, humankind is responsible. One problem is the increased number of wind turbines. Birds of prey are especially affected because they collide with the rotor blades. The lesser spotted eagle, in contrast, keeps its distance from wind turbines because of the disturbance caused by the noise when in operation. To limit the danger to birds of prey in the future, wind turbines have to be built at a certain minimum distance from nests. Above all, commercial forests no longer offer a habitat for a bird of prey like the goshawk. Monocultures are neither a habitat for the hunter nor the hunted. What's here for a bird of prey to hunt? Which prey is meant to still live here? Birds of prey are rigorously protected, but they continue to be illegally poached or, like here, poisoned. The cramped feet surmise the agony of this goshawk. Added to that, birds of prey are shot as they were before, as shown by this hole-riddled breastbone of a goshawk. It is this species' blood in particular that some hard-nosed humans are still after. Hunters see the goshawk as competition for their hunting of hares, partridges and pheasants. For pigeon breeders, it's enemy number one. But how can a goshawk distinguish between wild and carrier pigeons? It's often forgotten that birds of prey more often hunt ill, weak or injured animals, inasmuch they maintain a healthy balance of the population. For the goshawk, as for the buzzard and the eagle, hunting is not a hobby. They hunt to survive. They don't kill out of boredom or out of a desire to kill, they kill because they're hungry. Birds of prey lived on the earth before there was any trace of humankind. In this infinite period of time, they haven't eradicated any of their choice of prey, in sharp contrast to humans. Birds of prey are fascinating animals. They are equipped with extraordinary abilities. Thereafter, it is up to us to secure the survival of the hunters of the skies. In May 2016, a researcher is attacked by an elephant. A ranger fires shots to drive the animal away.
The sensory impression was so great that I could feel it later and think about it later. At the time, there was no time for thinking.
Ian Redmond is injured. How severe is still unclear. A colleague films the first minutes after the accident. Ian had named the lead cow that had attacked him Carly.
Her image is burned into my retina. Yes, I would recognize her if I see her.
Dense mountain forest stretches across the flanks of Mount Elgon in western Kenya. This is Ian Redmond's area of research. The biologist has been on the trail of an extraordinary elephant population for decades. April and May are the rainy months. During this time, waterfalls and streams form everywhere. The inhabitants of the forest enjoy this to the fullest, knowing it will soon be dry and hot again. Flying foxes are living in the caves. To find food, the herbivores fly out into the dense mountain forest. A special cosmos has formed here. Animals are hard to spot, except for the jumping mantle gerezas. Zebras hide surprisingly well in the dense green. And even the elephants seem almost invisible in the thicket. They retreated from the savannah into the forest a long time ago. This unique population still exists thanks to biologist Ian Redmond. 1.5 years after his accident, Ian flies back to Mount Elgon. As always, he documents everything with his small camera. But this time things are different. The attack has changed him.
So going back, it's the same excitement that I always feel flying up the Rift Valley. But the slight concern that that particular elephant might bear a grudge. Yeah, so we will see.
He has stepped out of the small machine dozens of times in the last 40 years, always in anticipation of the Mount Elgon elephants. That's still the case today, despite the accident. The wounds have healed, and so have the severe bruises and the shoulder injury. Only his neck hurts from time to time. From the small landing site in Kitale, it is another long drive to his destination, Mount Elgon National Park.
Nice to come home.
Ian is about to see all those again who have supported him in his work for decades. Daniel Namunai, a close and long-time ally who helps him to protect the elephants.
I'm here, I am fit, I am well.
David Kiberenge, Ian's right hand in the Mount Elgon National Park. He has an enormous knowledge of the cave elephants and is their protector on site. The rangers work on behalf of the Born Free Foundation, an organisation dedicated to species protection.
And how many days beyond, how many weeks? Were you monitoring them for a while then?
Already 6 weeks throughout, the rangers say.
Okay, that's good. Of you standing there.
Ian is mainly looking for his assailant, Carly. He wants to understand how it came to the accident. But the incident with her wasn't the only one in the last few months.
A cattle herder?
Yeah, a cattle herder was injured.
Yeah.
On the left here, on the left.
Kelvin tells Ian that a shepherd was attacked and injured by an elephant. He must have tried to scare the elephant away when he was out grazing his animals. The elephant became aggressive and attacked him, injuring his leg. The shepherd was hospitalized, but has recovered now.
But he was rushed to the hospital. He's doing well now.
Whenever the rangers go out, they're armed to protect themselves from poachers. In the 1970s, there were still 1,200 Mount Elgon elephants. Now, there are only a few hundred left. The search for the last herds is tedious, but Daniel and the ranger team are masters at tracking. Elephant manure on the way. Its temperature is an important indicator. It's still very fresh. They must be close by. Using ash, the rangers check the wind's direction in order to get within viewing distance of the animals. Because in the dense mountain forest, the elephants are almost invisible to humans. Daniel signals the rangers to take cover. And then the first Mount Elgon elephants appear, eating peacefully. They are slightly smaller than their relatives from the savannah. For Ian, this is the first encounter with elephants since his accident. Ian and his team have been noticed. The lead cow has discovered them. Like a year and a half ago, Ian can't put down the camera. He documents every behavior detail. For a moment, he's reminded of the attack. The herd retreats. Despite the second of shock, Ian is overjoyed.
Seeing elephants in dense bush is always exciting. And seeing elephants always puts a smile on your face.
Very peaceful.
And definitely not Kali.
Yeah. It's almost like Kali, but not Kali.
Oh, no. Kali had longer, thinner tusks. She became aware of us. As she scented towards us, she lifted her trunk to sniff. She put her ears out, but not in a huge display, is listening and came forward towards us, and we backed away. And that was enough for her. So she was giving us a clear signal, back off, and we backed off, and she carried on feeding. And that's the mother with the baby. So that's very good. Very nice. Good job.
Thank you.
Covering an area of almost 1,300 square kilometers, Mount Elgon National Park is a green island surrounded by fields and villages. It is the last retreat for many animals. Here they raise their offspring. Here they're safe. At 4,300 meters, Mount Elgon is one of the highest mountains in East Africa. Only in the peak region the weathered volcanic rocks come to light. Further down at lower altitudes, the first trees hold their ground by forming a dense jungle. The lava roof of the caves acts like an umbrella. It protects the layers of ash and the mineral salts they contain from being washed out by rainwater and leachate. At the cave entrance, you can see what elemental force created this region 12 million years ago. Meter-thick layers of ash with chunks of lava sprinkled in. Between them, whole logs, whitish discolored. They bear witness to a catastrophic volcanic eruption. The caves offer an ideal habitat for the red-winged starling. Through weathering and breakage, niches and holes have formed in the old tree trunks. The nests of the red-winged starling are safe here. Here also lies the only natural source of salt in the Mount Elgon region, because outside the volcanic caves, the soil is washed out and low in salt. "40 years ago, Ian Redmond began studying a phenomenon. It led him into the most famous cave, Kittum Cave, which is also an important place for humans. Ian's companion, David Kiborenge, was born here more than 70 years ago.
You come down the steps from the warmth of the sunny forest, and this cool, dank air meets you. So it feels nice to come into the cool, but then the smell, the mixture of bat guano and elephant dung, it might not sound like a wonderful smell, but you soon get used to it, and then it's very characteristic.
Ian began his research in the cool seclusion of Kittum Cave. Locals had told him about mysterious scratches on the cave walls. Elephants were said to come here at night. Nobody knew exactly why, because it's hard to watch them in the labyrinth-like cave. Biologist Ian Redmond wanted to know more about it.
To anyone who hasn't heard of this cave, the idea of an elephant in a cave is crazy. What? Elephant? And there's no light, it's dark, they're feeling their way in the dark, it just sounds crazy. But for these elephants, they come in with their mothers, it's what an elephant does. For them, it's normal. So it's part of the culture of this population.
In the 1980s, Ian Redmond spent 6 months at the entrance to Kittum Cave, watching the elephants come in at night and then wander deep into the cave. He noticed that young animals were always present. He was the first one to take pictures of this nightly ritual. The cave seemed to hold a vital secret for the animals. Why else would the giants wander through the impassable terrain and leave scratch marks on the walls? Ian Redmond managed to gain the elephant's acceptance as a non-threatening observer. That way, he was finally able to uncover their secret.
We're in this, what is effectively a subterranean salt lake, but elephants can't lick. Their tongue is behind a huge trunk and tusks, so they have to use their tusks, that you can see here, to chew. This is hard rock, you know, my panga barely makes a dent, and yet they've got the pressure to push the tusks, break off little bits, then pick them up if they don't catch them, and put them in their mouths and eat the rock. And they're not hitting the rock, they're just pushing, and then their tusk skids and sometimes punches a hole. But yeah, it is an amazing sight.
Just like cows on the pasture lick salt, Elgon elephants need minerals to survive. Their plant-based food contains too little of them. But the salty ashes provide plenty. Within thousands of years, they have created a gigantic cave system through their mining activities.
And they communicate themselves using these low rumbles. Now what we hear is a rumble like, but that's actually just the upper harmonics of a much deeper infrasonic rumble. I can't do the infrasound, but I thought if I make a rumbling sound, it would tell them that someone was there. And gradually they seem to respond to this by not being aggressive and not being frightened. The aggression comes out of fear, and if you can win their trust, then you habituate them to the presence of a harmless observer.
For many years, Ian has been communicating with the cave elephants in this way. There were never any problems.
Can you ask, I'd really like to know...
David Kibarengi tells Ian that the locals also get along with the elephants. For a long time, they even shared the cave. The elephants as salt-hungry miners, the locals as the cave's inhabitants. The remains of a cattle shed. People moved to this dry place with all their livestock and belongings. Until today, the Kittum Cave is of special meaning to the locals. But for some decades, there have also been people who want only one thing: ivory. In the 1980s, the cave turned into a death trap for a group of Elgon elephants. A skull in a crevice bears witness to this. Kali, the elephant cow that had injured Ian so seriously, could also have witnessed the massacre. She was probably only a few years old at the time.
Poachers in 1987 sat on top of the cave, and when the elephants were coming into the cave, they ambushed them and just fired machine guns. Wounded a lot of elephants. And I came in 1987 and found several dead animals, one of whom I think was Charles, who I photographed tusking just around there. And his face had been sliced off, but in a clean plane. So that suggested someone with a chainsaw. Quick and efficient.
Elephants remember those that killed a fellow elephant. The survivors of this massacre still associate the smell of people with danger. The many terrible experiences with poachers that the elephant researcher has had over the years brought him to initiate a spectacular action. In April 2016, tons of illegal ivory were burned in gigantic fires as a message to the world that the ivory trade must stop in order to stop the poachers and save the elephants. Mount Elgon National Park is an exceptional place, in part thanks to the elephants. The rock hyrax, who live in the crevices near the cave entrance, benefit from the elephants' cave visits. After an extensive salt feast, the pachyderms regularly leave behind their excrements. They fertilize the soil and thus create the basis for many herbivores. In the morning hours and in the late afternoon, they eat their fill in the lush greenery. They are not particularly choosy, as long as it's fresh and vegetarian. Bird life also benefits. The elephants, as the gardeners of the Mount Elgon forests, increase the biodiversity of the forest. This attracts insects, the main food of many birds like this little bee-eater. In the surrounding area of Mount Elgon National Park, the world looks different. agricultural land as far as the eye can see. People here live self-sufficiently. They clear the forest and plant fields. Ian knows that they have been coexisting with elephants for centuries. The locals have not been the reason for the aggressive behavior of the elephants, and yet here Ian was attacked by Carly. The group reaches the site of the accident.
Ah, they were crossing up there, yes. They're crossing that gap. Okay, this looks, this is like the video I've got in the Majani Sawaya video. And Dovo na Pita, on the Vuka Huku.
When Ian Redmond and his team filmed the herd of elephants here in May 2016, the lead cow suddenly turned around and ran towards him.
I remember looking over my shoulder and seeing this magnificent sight of an elephant athlete in full flight with the advantage of running downhill. She hit me, and I've got a vivid sensory memory of when her face hit my hand. These two knuckles touched her tusk, which is cold and hard, and these two knuckles touched the soft upper lip where her trunk curls over the tusk. And the impact knocked me over backwards into a backwards roll. My feet went up, but I didn't go sideways. I went straight over. My feet hit her chest. And then I was on all fours underneath her and trying to stay curled up and not let her feet stand on me. She must have screeched to a halt because her back legs didn't run over me. You'd think that an elephant running downhill, hitting someone, would just keep going. But she obviously screeched to a halt with me still underneath her. And when the elephant hit the camera against my hand, it turned the video off. And from the clock on the video, it was 5 seconds before one of the kicks turned it on again.
Shots finally drove Carly away.
So I think, whoa, wait a minute, neck injury, lie down. So I lay down and started thinking, take stock, what can I do? And I found this arm, I could move the hand, but I couldn't move the shoulders, I couldn't lift that arm. And I tried to sit up again, but the buzzing of my hands was getting worse and the neck was hurting. So obviously I was concerned about a spinal injury. That was all right. This arm is good. Okay, good news. Yes. Leg, good. Good news. Oh, back, hurting. Leg, good news. As I did the backward roll, by chance, her foot was holding my shirt down. And that's why my shoulder dislocated. Because when you do a backward roll, it's best not to have an elephant standing on your shirt. I learn. It's a good tip for gymnasts. When doing a backward roll, make sure an elephant is not standing on your shirt. That's an elephant footprint. It's not often you can track an elephant on your own clothes. I don't blame Carly. You can't blame an elephant for being an elephant. She was angry because she's got all this hassle around here of charcoal burners and poachers and woodcutters and illegal loggers, and it's all happening around her. Her habitat's disappearing. She's lost members of her family.
And so Carly had accidentally hurt a protector. The habitat of elephants outside the national park is getting smaller every year. Slash and burn farming, which has been practiced here since time immemorial, drives out and injures animals. It is a constant struggle for living space between humans and animals.
It's quite depressing to see how isolated the Elgon elephants are. You're in a little island of elephant habitats in a sea of human agriculture and occupation. You're very conscious of the shrinking world of the elephant and the expanding world of humanity.
At the borders of the national park, where the jungle has been replaced by arable land, the influence of humans becomes visible. It's not just a competition for food and living space. With his thermal imaging camera, Ian Redmond can show the land that man had cleared is much warmer than the forested national park area. The farmland is literally glowing. Ian is certain that this has an impact on the local climate, and thus on all the plants and animals in the area. Ian was told about an elephant carcass found in the Mount Elgon area. He immediately thinks of Kali.
I'm drawn to look at the skull.
But this one was a bull in his prime.
Look at this. They were in such a hurry that they didn't cut out the bone of the face and left half the tusk in, well, not half the tusk, the top quarter or so of the tusk, which was up into the skull. People who value ivory wouldn't do that. But these are people who are in a hurry, breaking the law, and value money. The last time I felt that against the palm of my hand was when I was holding Carly's front leg, trying to stop her from standing on me. But here, it's not living, pliable hairs of a healthy elephant. It's dry, dead hairs. China has closed its ivory markets at the end of 2017. The UK is tightening its regulations so that even old ivory isn't being traded because it can be mixed with new ivory. And yet this has just been killed. There's still a demand. Some people are still buying elephant's front teeth. It's illegal. And I guess the message I would say from the carcass of this elephant is, if you have ivory in your home, and if you buy it and put it on your mantelpiece, it's no longer a status symbol. What you're saying is, I support organized crime, the killing of elephants, and the murder of rangers and customs officers that are trying to stop this trade. It stinks in every sense.
The Mount Elgon elephants are trapped here, surrounded by farmland and threatened by ivory hunters. Poachers do not stop at other animals either, not even within the borders of the national park. Ivory of poached elephants from the whole area is secured and stored in the park's evidence room. The large tusks weigh more than 20 kilos. These do not stem from Mount Elgon elephants, though. Their tusks are smaller. The senior park ranger shows Ian the tusks confiscated within the last few months. Although the price per kilo for ivory has more than halved within 3 years, poaching continues. These are the tusks of a Mount Elgon elephant cow. They are almost half the size of the savanna elephants and worn down because of the salt mining.
The threat has gone down substantially, but it's not completely wiped out yet. So my message to the world is we need to sustain the efforts, both locally and internationally, to ensure that the elephants survive for generations to come.
But not only the protection of the elephants is important. At Mount Elgon, everything is connected. If the number of elephants decreases, it will have an impact on the region's entire wildlife. From the bushbuck to the predator, all animals need the minerals dormant in the belly of the volcano. As soon as night falls, they dare to enter, driven by their hunger for salt. It's difficult and dangerous for the animals to find their way in the darkness. Tonight, a genet also looks for prey. It doesn't lick salt. The blood of the prey will provide it to her. Small vertebrates make up its menu. The little genet is a nocturnal loner. As it can climb very well, it is also able to reach the corners and crevices of the volcanic caves where bats or small rodents might hide. Ian's search for Kali continues, driving him and his team of rangers across the national park and beyond its borders, to where the settlements begin and where the accident happened. Where is Kali? Ian asks everyone, including the pastoralists, who have their grazing grounds very close to the scene of the accident.
His job is to protect the forest, not stopping the illegal activities. That's my question.
One of the men has news for him.
Carlos feels that Kali, the elephant, and her family are ones that have become particularly aggressive. And he said that Kali has a little hole in her ear. And he postulates that might be a poaching attack where she was injured. So she has personally been injured by a poacher and probably seen members of her family killed by poachers. And that's why when humans make her stressed, she reacts with anger. And it's a reasonable hypothesis. We can't know what's going on in her mind, but you put all these bits of information together and that's the picture that emerges.
In their search for Kali, Ian and the rangers have found new hope. A herd is supposed to be approaching the Kittum Cave. For weeks there has been no sight of elephants there. The animals must be hungry for salt.
Stop, 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 stop!
The elephants are already near the cave entry. They have even brought their offspring along. It will learn to continue the old traditions of the cave elephants. Despite their size, the elephants can hide perfectly. Often enough, the rangers drive by very closely without even noticing them. The pachyderms disappear completely in the green thicket. Giant trees dominate the landscape in Mount Elgon National Park. At a height of just over 2,000 meters, the mountain forest begins, reaching up to an altitude of 3,000 meters. The elephants move with astonishing ease through the undergrowth. They consume up to 300 kilos of food each day. Even thorns do not stop the animals from searching for food. This forest offers the Mount Elgon elephants everything they need.
the loss of forest is not just oh, what a shame, the trees are very nice. And the loss of elephants is, oh, what a shame, the elephants are really nice, we like elephants. Elephants are the gardeners of the forest. They eat the fruits and the seed pods, disperse the seeds for the next generation of trees, which are then involved in the water cycle, putting water vapor into the atmosphere, cooling the surface of the mountain. And all that is being reduced. We've got this little pocket of forest with a small population, maybe 200 or 300 elephants. We have to protect what's left. And ideally, we'd be looking to expand the forest range so that the ecosystem services which that forest provide for all the people around here and on a global scale, maintaining a stable climate, that can continue. That's the mission here, not just to save a few elephants with an amazing, unique culture, but part of that bigger picture of trying to stabilize the climate and have a functioning biosphere so that we can all live in it.
The habitat of Mount Elgon is a cosmos that has existed for millions of years. Its forests still harbour many less known and special species such as the black and white casqued hornbill. It needs the evergreen forests and their fruits as well. Waterbucks are still common here. Unlike the dry savanna, the humid Mount Elgon forests are an ideal habitat for them. While older males lead a solitary existence, the females join together with their young to form small herds. In the rainy season, when everything is green and there is enough to eat, most offspring are born. On this night, expectations are high that the elephants will enter the cave. Ian and the rangers have decided to wait near the Kittim cave.
So it slips sideways.
David Kibarengi, in particular, has a keen sense for elephants.
It is near. It's coming now.
Did they notice the humans close by? In the dark, the men must be especially careful.
Yeah, that's better. Yes.
It's not just the elephants making their way through the night. A side-striped jackal is being watched by a bush baby in a tree. Plant eaters, such as the bushbucks, which cannot break any rock themselves, lick the crystallized salt from the rocks. And then they appear. The cave elephants on their way to their workplace deep inside the volcano. They still have to conquer a distance of over 200 meters through a pitch-black labyrinth until they reach the salt deposit. The phenomenon of elephants mining underground is unique in the world. Only protected by complete darkness do they dare to enter. Only then they are undisturbed by humans. Today, they are even more cautious than in 1987, the year the massacre happened. A kind of inner map helps them to find their way around the impassable cave. Information about paths and salt deposits has been passed down from generation to generation, probably for thousands of years. Only after hours of hard work have they licked enough salt and move on. At dawn, the flying foxes and bats returned to the caves of Mount Elgon. They also ate their fill at night, but instead of salt, they prefer flowers and nectar. The carnivores amongst them have eaten the elderly, sick, or injured. They are the health police of the Mount Elgon forests and play their part in the survival of this ancient forest. All animals lead a kind of isolated existence on Mount Elgon. This is their last sanctuary. Far too few people are aware that this mountain forest is also the water reservoir for the whole region. It is the day Ian wants to undertake one last attempt to see Kali again. Suddenly, they can't go any further. Luckily, it's just a flat tire. No wonder considering the bad roads. The rangers quickly solve the problem. They're used to breakdowns. Ian hopes to get going in time. Within the last few days, a herd of elephants has been wandering from the fields into the forest each early morning, crossing the high plateau where he last saw Kali. Ian and the rangers are once again back at the scene of the attack. And they are in luck. The elephants are here.
For a moment, it was a flashback. I've been here before. Fast-moving elephant. Again, he looked magnificent because he was a fit elephant, like an athlete running. But I don't think he was directing his attention towards us. And we went across to the other side of the valley, so we could watch them from a distance that was not affecting them. I haven't definitely identified Kali yet. but I'm looking, her image is burned into my retina. Yes, I would recognize her if I see her. I'm really happy to be here observing this almost idyllic scene of elephants feeding and jousting and playing and resting over there, and people standing watching them, and it looks like there's no animosity at all. But we know from the attack on me and the attack on other people in the area that these elephants are on the edge. They're anxious, and anything... Oh, just a minute, this is Daniel coming through. Hello, Daniel?
Yeah, I just come.
Okay, we'll be with you in a few minutes. Thank you. Perhaps there we can get a clear enough view and I can see Collie.
The herd has migrated towards the valley. In the clearing, Ian can look for Carly without being seen. Peacefully, a mother moves across the clearing with her calf, but it is not Carly. As always, Ian observes the scenery through his camera. The analysis of the footage is an important method to better understand the behavior of this elephant population. But no matter how hard he searches, none of the animals have a hole in their ears. Suddenly, the mood changes.
Somebody noticed we were there. And I don't think they're going to pursue. They're not looking for trouble. They're trying to avoid trouble. So when they sense danger, they say danger. It's mainly look to move away. I hope we didn't disturb them. Let's go by so we can see whether they're moving off.
Ian and his team retreat. They don't want to provoke an attack. And although he has not found Carly, Ian feels very close to her here. It is the place of their last encounter.
I don't blame her for being an elephant. If I could communicate with her, I would say listen out for the... Because humans that rumble at her are no danger. Humans that creep quietly and try and get close and carry guns, and she will perhaps recognize the smell of cordite. Those are the dangerous ones. I am an Ellie friend, not an enemy.
For Ian Redmond, the encounter with Carly is much more than just a painful accident.
And the important message to the world, I think, is that these elephants are important to this area. And the people who live here coexist with the elephants. They live alongside them peacefully. It's the outsiders coming in to extract the resources, the timber, the charcoal, the bushmeat and the ivory sometimes. Those are the ones that terrify the elephants. So we need to stop the illegal activity, and then the legal, peaceful grazing of cattle can go on. And this amazing location where people and elephants have, for many, many years, lived peacefully side by side, can continue in that way.
If the cave elephants and the other inhabitants of the Mount Elgon region have a chance of surviving, then something has to change.
Armed with 18 venomous spines, it hunts, invisible to its prey, in packs, and is a multi-talented enigma, the red lionfish. Its home is in the shallows, in the coral reefs of the Indo-Pacific and the Red Sea. No other habitat on Earth can claim such a wealth and diversity of species, each one more striking than the last. The most remarkable of them all is the lionfish. Faster, cleverer, and with more skills than other fish, it is a natural survivor. It also has grand ambitions, spreading to new and unprepared waters, the Atlantic Ocean. The red lionfish has colonized vast areas from Africa to Australia and beyond. It lives in the tropical coral reefs of long coastlines and remote islands. At the Coral Triangle, where the Indian Ocean meets the Pacific, a uniquely diverse ecosystem has evolved, with over 4,000 types of fish making the coral their home. The red lionfish is the species that stands out, an unusual animal with unexpected talents. It's top dog in the ultimate dog-eat-dog world. It may look like paradise, but every moment is a matter of life or death. Every small animal prey for a larger one. Despite appearances, there is little plant life here. Organisms that look like plants are actually animals with incredible adaptations. What seems to be a fern is really a cnidaria and painful to the touch. These hard corals are actually made up of tiny animals covered in a protective chalk shell that grow into extraordinary shapes. But even a stone shell isn't immune to hungry fish. The powerful jaws of the Titan triggerfish make short work of even the toughest exoskeleton. Nothing escapes the ravenous triggerfish. It devours the coral polyps as well as any creatures hiding in them. Hiding is one of the most common survival techniques here. These little chromices rarely leave their coral home. Yet, there's no escape from the gold saddle goatfish. While the gold saddle goatfish in turn would be wise to avoid the stealthy giant moray. Yet even the giant moray, 2.5 meters in length, is wary of predators and hides away as much as it can. The moon jellyfish can't hide and has no camouflage, nor is it poisonous or able to bite, enticing for hungry mouths. While frequently nibbled at, the moon jellyfish's saving grace is that it consists mainly of water, making it a very unsatisfying meal. A male damselfish is on cleanup duty, clearing a spot for interested females to lay their eggs. And it works. A female partners up with him in the courtship dance. Tonight, he will fertilize around 1,000 of her eggs. But an unguarded clutch can make an easy meal. Nature can be relentless. Today, there's eggs for breakfast. And now a lionfish has taken over the spawning ground. Clownfish live in anemones that sting other fish. When the female dies, the largest male changes sex and becomes the only female. Clownfish are not born immune to the burning anemone. Instead, as young fish, they must expose themselves to the anemone's stinging tentacles to build up their immunity. When a clownfish dies, the anemone gets an extra portion of food. More venomous than the anemone, more skilled than a gold saddle goatfish, and more feared than the moray, the 40-centimeter long lionfish is an all-rounder with barbed venomous spines and a camouflage coat. Nature has been generous to the lionfish, endowing it with grace and beauty to boot. The large fins give it surprising speed. As with most fish, its lateral line allows it to sense differences in pressure, so it can feel the presence of nearby swimmers. Above their eyes, young lionfish sport protrusions that look eerily like small fish, luring prey towards its hungry mouth. A fatal beauty. Whatever gets too close to its 18 venomous fin rays may feel it for weeks to come. A special feature are its eyes. The lionfish sees the world in slow motion, enabling it with faster reactions. All these features combine to make the lionfish an extraordinarily successful hunter. Yet, between dusk and dawn, its hunting times, the lionfish is rarely seen. Only on special occasions do they venture forth from their hiding place. The large coral is home to hundreds of thousands of fish. No wonder trevallies prowl the area looking for food. The key to the hunter's success is to slowly circle its prey, then lunge. The prey confuse the hunter by swimming as a single mass of shimmering silvery bodies. The sound of the hunt wakes other hunters. If there's a chance of sharing in the bounty, the lionfish are always nearby. By touching pectoral fins, they signal to each other that it's time to join forces. Biologists have shown that hunting in packs, like wolves, doubles their success rate. It also makes them much more successful than the trevallies. Soon, the trevallies have had enough. They amble on to the next feeding site. With the activity dying down, most of the lionfish retire as well. They head back to their lair to spend the rest of the day asleep. But some lionfish are active in the day. This black lionfish has a completely different hunting strategy to the red. It swims just above the sandy seabed. Using its fins to corral any prey hidden under the sand. But how to uncover the prey? Simple. The lionfish blows water onto the sand to expose any hidden creatures. Nothing there this time. what happened there? A small fish flees and is narrowly missed by the lunging lionfish. And again. A tiny fish flees from the hunter's approach. And another one. The entire ocean floor is teeming with hidden life. Hunter and hunted are all lightning fast. Fleeing, snapping, swallowing. It all happens in the blink of an eye. But the lionfish has a secret weapon that can only be seen with a very special high-speed camera and a very hungry fish. "26 delicate bones, as if folded by an ingenious origami artist, allow the jaw to extend like a telescope. This creates a vacuum that no prey can escape. Incredibly, this gulping is the fastest movement in the fish kingdom, yet sometimes it waits too long. But only sometimes. The lionfish usually wins in the end. A seagrass bed not far from the coral reef. The wealth of species living here is not instantly apparent. Certainly, few species are as bold as these squid. This jellyfish appears to be upside down, but it's all part of its plant-like disguise. Nearby, what looks like a snake or an eel is actually a snake eel. This one has reached its full length of around 1 meter. Fearlessly, it sticks its head into any hole it can find. It's searching for prey such as crabs, but could just as well find danger. Or it could find nothing at all. The geometric moray is also in search of crabs, though fish or worms will also do. But something else is not far behind. The lionfish follows the eel, waiting to catch any seagrass dwellers that try and make a swim for it. The eel is less than happy having a stalker. But the lionfish is not so easily shaken off. Soon, its strategy starts to pay off. The more's loss is the lionfish's gain. With their stripes, fin rays and flippers, lionfish may look unusual. But their relatives are even stranger. Maybe better, the lionfish and this scorpion fish belong to the same family. These bottom dwellers are so well camouflaged that one wonders how they even find each other to mate. Unlike their lionfish cousins, they are not active hunters, but lie on the seabed, waiting for prey to come to them. They have excellent eyesight. But if nothing moves in their field of vision, something remarkable happens. Ever efficient, their brain shuts down their vision. Even so, the slightest movement instantly switches it back on. It's like having a built-in screensaver. Another relative of the lionfish is not known for its beauty, the tentacled flathead or crocodile fish. Perfectly camouflaged on the seabed, it can lie motionless for days at a time. If a fish comes by, it quickly sucks in its prey. But the flathead isn't the strangest of the lionfish's relatives. It's hard to see the family resemblance between the flathead and the 10-centimeter long leaf scorpionfish. What they have in common, though, is incredible camouflage, with the leaffish drifting along like a leaf in the current. Not so easily camouflaged, the black lionfish is about to meet one of its relatives. It has one last glimpse of freedom. Lionfish do not usually have to fear predators. Perhaps because their fin rays are so difficult to swallow, but today was not its lucky day. Dusk brings change out on the reef. The dayfish look for a place to rest, while the night hunters begin to wake. As darkness falls, the lionfish come out to hunt. But this evening promises more than just hunting. even the lionfish's smaller relatives, the clear fin lionfish, are coming together for action. It seems it could be an eventful evening. At night, the coral reefs are almost more interesting than during the day. As the moon rises, sea urchins are on the move. Other creatures, like the spinefoots, gather together to sleep. Under the cover of darkness, a completely different world exists, usually hidden from the human eye. But if we turn the normal lights off and switch on the UV lights, something miraculous happens. These are the colors that fish see and communicate with, both by day and by night. It explains how the camouflaged scorpionfish attracts a mate by glowing bright red. The lionfish, on the other hand, doesn't glow at all, staying well hidden from its prey. Its appetite is legendary, sometimes growing its stomach to 30 times its normal size. It can eat fish that are 2/3 its own size, but prefers smaller prey in large quantities. The lionfish is also unusually intelligent, quickly learning that the camera's light attracts its prey. But there's more to life than eating. For the clearfin lionfish, tonight has all the signs of being a very special one. The male, in particular, has some interesting plans. While the red lionfish is interested only in food, the male clearfin lionfish turns a seductive red and makes a move on the smaller female. Its aim is to get the female to somewhere they can mate, away from the reef. It doesn't work, and the female swims away. Luckily, the male has other options. Male clearfin lionfish keep a harem of 5 or 6 females. He tries the first, gently checking whether she's ready to mate. It would seem not. Time to move on to the next. This time, things are looking up. But no. The females are often 30 to 40 meters away from each other, but the male always knows exactly where they are. This time, there's two together. Number one shows no interest. With number two, he advances carefully, avoiding her venomous fins. The evening is not going well, but he can't give up. And now he has competition. He dashes back to the other females, hoping they've had a change of heart. At last, he seems to be in luck. Mating lasts for a mere 1/10 of a second. But the night is young and he gets several other chances. The females release 2 jelly-like packages, each containing around 6,000 eggs, which the male fertilizes in a split second. These are carried along by the current. After 3 days, the larvae hatch. The spot-fin lionfish are also small relatives of the red lionfish. Zebra lionfish have several harems. But the clearfin is much rarer than its red cousin. It's amazing to think that there is enough prey for all the growing number of red lionfish, since a female can lay eggs every 4 days. That's up to 1 million offspring in a single year. With its intelligence, its range of talents, and its willingness to eat almost anything, from tiny crabs to large fish, it would seem that the lionfish could flourish anywhere with warm water. The beauty of the red lionfish is also the reason for its popularity in aquariums. For the captured animal, it's the start of a long journey. Like nearly all fish from the ocean, the red lionfish cannot be bred in captivity, so every aquarium specimen must come from open water. The USA is one of the biggest buyers of wild-caught fish, even though red lionfish are not easy to keep. Their appetite has been known to empty entire aquariums, and their venomous fins have caused many owners serious pain. No one knew that the red lionfish would become a problem, and now no one is quite sure how it happened. Perhaps fish that were set free were the cause, Or maybe those carried in the ballast water of large ships? Perhaps both. Or it may have been the result of a natural disaster. Florida lies in the so-called Hurricane Alley. Coming from Africa, low-pressure areas heat up over the Atlantic, vaporizing large amounts of water. This creates suction that causes the low-pressure area to swirl faster and faster. As the wind speed increases, a hurricane is formed. In August 1992, Hurricane Andrew hit, the aftermath of which can still be felt to this day. For years, all seemed normal on Florida's reefs. No one noticed that life on the reef was changing dramatically. The ocean bed near the shores of the Atlantic is very different from that of the Pacific. There, stone coral dominates. In the Atlantic, there is far more soft coral and sponge. Red lionfish are not native to these waters. But the catastrophe begins to take shape. Florida's waters have many problems thanks to environmental damage and overfishing, but certainly not due to too many fish. Then, in the mid-90s, divers noticed the arrival of a newcomer. Most people were delighted at seeing such an exotic fish. They didn't notice that the red lionfish was eating bigger fish here than it did back home, and that its numbers were steadily increasing. Now, their population is booming. Here, it has even fewer predators than on the other side of the world. Big fish, like the grouper, are rare here due to overfishing, and don't see the red lionfish as prey. For spear fishermen, they are equally uninteresting, as they assume incorrectly that it has poisonous flesh. The fast-flowing Gulf Stream hurtles up the Florida coast, probably carrying larvae and eggs with it. In North Carolina, the seabed is covered not in coral, but in sand. These sandy areas have nothing to offer fish. Cliffs and shipwrecks, however, provide food and shelter from the current. This ship is a relic from the Second World War. Sunk by a German submarine in 1942, it's now a popular destination for divers. Sand tiger sharks are the biggest attraction. They are up to 3 meters long, but harmless. In the year 2000, divers made an unexpected discovery here. Red lionfish. Experts were baffled. Red lionfish had traveled from Florida to North Carolina, a distance of more than 1,000 kilometers. The first find was not a one-off. The red lionfish had begun to spread over vast areas of America's eastern coastline. Soon, the marine biologists realized they had a serious problem. Even here, predators show no interest, not recognizing the red lionfish as prey. But no one knows why. For years, the red lionfish went unnoticed, but now its population is exploding. America's eastern coastline, the Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico have all been hit by cyclones that have helped the fish to spread. Incredibly, the millions of red lionfish that are now populating the Atlantic may stem from only 6 to 9 fish. It's now considered a dangerous venomous pest, and one that is causing deep-seated changes in the warm waters of the Atlantic. It eats entire coral reefs and destroys them. As a food source, the ocean is under serious threat. But it doesn't have to be this way. The Jardines de la Reina, the Gardens of the Queen, are a national park in the south of Cuba. More than 600 mangrove islands are home to numerous animals, some of which exist only here. Jutias come from the same family as porcupines and were, for a long time, the only mammals in the Caribbean. Cubans like to eat them with nuts and honey, but here in the Jardines de la Reina, they have nothing to fear. People come to this lonely spot because of the fantastic underwater world. The American crocodile can live in salt water as well as in fresh water. As a result, it has been able to migrate from the United States to a variety of Caribbean islands. They eat anything that moves: fish, birds, and mammals. Here in the south of Cuba, they have everything they need. When Christopher Columbus discovered this area, he was so impressed by its beauty that he named it the Gardens of the Queen. And that was without even being able to dive and discover its true beauty. The mangrove forests are a protected area and nursery for many animals above and below the surface. The entangled roots offer shelter for the offspring. Even the upside-down jellyfish, the Copia, makes a reappearance. But the Jardines de la Reina have even more to offer, an almost pristine underwater environment. Here, the ocean is like a time capsule. Everywhere else, pillar corals are rare, but here they exist in abundance. Just like the Elghorn coral, which is carefully protected in other waters. Also impressive are the many large fish. Big groupers are usually popular trophies for amateur and professional fishermen alike. Here, they are more plentiful than anywhere else in the Caribbean. Despite appearances, this specimen is not plagued by parasites. Just the opposite, in fact. The neon gobies eat anything that could cause them discomfort. Tarpon are under threat as sport fishermen relish the fight that dying fish wage against the rod. Here, they're safe from both rod and harpoon. The decades-long ban on commercial fishing has allowed a healthy and productive ecosystem to flourish. The ecosystem depends on the delicate balance between predator and prey, a balance that has been lost elsewhere in the ocean. Is it possible for one species of fish to ruin this paradise? Can the red lionfish overrun it as catastrophically as it's overrun other parts of the Caribbean? What would happen if the red lionfish appeared in the Jardines de la Reina? The truth is, it's been here for several years. So far, the catastrophe has been held at bay, partly because the sea here is healthy and resistant, and partly because people are taking action. The many sharks in the Jardines have developed a taste for the red lionfish. Although they don't yet eat them without a helping hand from the locals. By harpooning the invaders, the Cubans are helping nature stay healthy. The strategy has worked so well that the jardines look just as they did before the red lionfish's arrival. The sharks are getting a very good deal and don't seem to mind the venomous fin rays. But feeding sharks is not always as simple as it looks. A lucky escape. The nature reserve of Jardines de la Reina is proof that a healthy sea can withstand the arrival of an intruder like the red lionfish. In Florida, the problem is much greater, so the solution is more intense. For experienced divers, it's like picking apples from a tree. Contestants in harpooning competitions kill thousands in a single weekend. Restaurants put them on the menu. For the first time in human history, an environmental problem is being solved by overfishing. But if one dives a little deeper, the red lionfish shows its ingenuity once more. In the Atlantic, it swims far deeper than biologists ever thought possible. Divers can go down to 40 meters with their harpoons, but red lionfish can go much deeper. This multi-talented survivor has conquered the Atlantic. And it's not stopping there. From the Red Sea through the Suez Canal, the first red lionfish have now reached the Mediterranean.
Somewhere high up in the north, in the vast and barren terrains of the tundra, lives a very mysterious animal. Often symbolic of wisdom, historically revered as a medium between the worlds. The snowy owl, best known by fans of Harry Potter. In some years, it undertakes the long journey westwards to Europe, sometimes to Germany. Why does it exert itself to such extremes? Lemmings and snowy owls are entwined. Their relationship exists over thousands of years. Most for the lemming end with its death. For the owl, it is essential. The prey is not for the hunter. His mate is waiting, The pair have 4 offspring to rear. The father has to leave again straight away. The mother stays to feed the 3-week-old chicks. They have to gain weight quickly because autumn will begin in 3 months' time. In the land of the snowy owl, the sun won't set for many weeks, and thus, quite untypically for owls, it hunts in the daylight. Its eyes are accustomed to it. Nothing escapes its attention. Watching and waiting, that is its strategy. But not for waterfowls. They're not so well suited for the chicks. The owl is waiting for the lemming above all else. It's taking too long for the female. The chicks need at least 4 rodents per day. Not a problem in good lemming years when the male can provide one after the other. Then the owls can manage to raise up to 11 offspring. But right now there are few to be found. That's why the family is so small. When food is in short supply, owls lay fewer eggs. But nevertheless, it is still not enough for the little ones. Around every 4 years, there is an explosion in the lemming numbers. At least that's how it's been until now. But now such a boom time for lemmings is long overdue. What is it that has disrupted this cycle? If there is too little food, it is the last born and therefore the smallest that will pay the price in its development. Its chances to compete for its share against the larger chicks will be ever more remote. The male is out for increasingly prolonged amounts of time to find prey. It's vital that the mother manages to protect her young against the icy winds. In a short time, the temperature will drop to near freezing point. The mother deepens the hollow of the nest for protection while the father searches in vain for lemmings. The family is starving. It's as if the lemmings have been swallowed up by the ground. The mother has nothing more to offer the pleas of her nestling. She seems to have run out of ideas as to how to help her dying chick. The adults can deal with far lower temperatures. But for the smallest, in these circumstances, there is no chance. The male has no time to lose. He has to make sure at least that the other chicks survive. The owl will feed the dead chick to the other chicks. Every form of nutrition is imperative as long as the male continues to have problems. The fortune of the family is uncertain. One thing is for certain though, an increase in lemming numbers this summer has not materialized. The chicks have to manage to achieve a weight of at least 2 kilos within the next 3 weeks. If not, they will not survive the winter. The fog hardly clears at all. Already in the middle of August, it is autumn. The geese begin their escape to the south. Snowy owls, however, are not migratory birds. They remain where they are. A little later, and the tundra is covered with snow, much earlier than expected. The landscape is in the grip of temperatures that sink to minus 40 degrees Celsius. It is only they who can adapt that will survive. Even the feet, velvety soles, are covered with feathers, as is the beak. It's the same with the Arctic fox, white as camouflage and warmly covered with fur even under the paws. Owls and foxes share a similar fate in that they both hunt lemmings. And for both of them, it is now essential that they find some as the temperature sinks. The owl now has a difficult decision. Should it try and bear it out here and continue searching like the fox? Or is the snow too deep and hard, and it'll be under threat of diminishing fat reserves? The fox has no choice in the matter, but the snowy owl does. It doesn't always migrate like other birds, but will travel if the conditions are too extreme. It leaves the Siberian desert of ice behind and travels westwards. Travelling at up to 85 kilometers per hour, it can cover large areas of Russia. Ahead lay the fells of North Scandinavia, 2,500 kilometers away from its breeding grounds. Here the wind clears the tops of the mountains, increasing the owl's chances of finding some lemmings. The open terrain is an invitation to rest. The owl needs the clear view for its hunting. The stranger's presence doesn't go unnoticed. However, the reindeers soon return their attentions to the arduous process of uncovering moss and lichen. The secret as to why they don't suffer from hypothermia lies with their large snouts. The icy air warms up through the long nasal passage, and the heat is retained when they breathe out. Their wide hooves act like snowshoes and prevent the animal from sinking too deeply into the snow. But the true master of walking on snow is the alpine rabbit. With its white fur and smaller ears, it's perfectly suited to the subpolar environment. This elegant snowshoe sprinter would be the perfect catch for the owl, if only it wasn't so very quick. What else is on offer? Snow grouse. They've spent the night in a well-insulated snow chamber, a bit like an igloo. But hunger has forced them to leave their cover together. Many eyes are their best protection to survive. The owl observes them attentively. However, its attentions don't go unnoticed. No luck again. Finally, a mountain lemming. A little more bespeckled than its brown cousin in Siberia, but just as delicious. It's collecting grasses and lichen to stock up its pantry under the snow. That's where it spends most of its time in the winter, well protected and hard to find. The snowy owl must use its chance. The lemming is watchful. Walking on its snowshoes, it stalks the lemming, trusting in its camouflage and the element of surprise. However, its cover has been blown. The lemming is confoundedly fast. Another attempt is for now out of the question. Heavy snowfall impedes the visibility. This is the beginning of a very hard time, even for the reindeer who are so well used to the cold. They only have the chance to remain and starve, or to make the energy-sapping journey through the deep snow to search out new pastures for their meagre diet. The lemming has absolutely no problem with the snow. Quite the opposite, it's an ally. Foraging, stocking up, eating, raising its young up to 6 times throughout the winter. It manages all that buried under the snow and rarely ventures out. If there's a new covering of snow, it offers the perfect protection against the cold and enemies. For the owl, it's a tragedy because it makes the rodents much harder to find. It's only in those places where the wind blows a clearing that it has a chance. The first attempt. The rodent, hidden in its labyrinth, has a clear advantage. And it's no stranger to protecting himself. Deep snow hunting, it seems, is not for the owl. The reindeer leave the inhospitable terrain. The snowy owl is also forced to move on. Indeed, the perennial aviator will cover the circumference of the pole throughout the winter in search of nourishment. If it doesn't meet with success, the journey will be very risky. Will its undernourished energy reserves last long enough to reach the south where it can hunt again? The energy-sapping flight is grueling. A short catch in between could be much needed, but here also the snow is far too deep. The great grey owl shows how to be a good deep snow hunter. It seeks out the mice from above and makes its approach silently gliding before plunging the last meters with full force, landing deep in the snow. Although only around 2 kilos in weight, it manages to pinpointedly capture its prey up to 40 centimeters under the snow. The competition lurks in the background. The supply of mice is small, but the hunger is big. Every little bit counts in the winter. The hunter has already swallowed his well-earned rewards, but it takes a while for his competition to notice. With such tough competition around, the snowy owl has no chance. It has to leave the tiger's forests behind. It can't hunt between trees. Open spaces with a milder climate are the aim, but its destination is still as yet a long journey away. After a further 500 kilometers, it has still not crossed the undesirable coniferous forest. Exhausted, it stops for a rest. As dusk approaches, the forest of the trolls is suddenly awake. Millions of bramblings are heading south and are looking for a place to rest for the night. A very real spirit of the forest makes an entrance. The snowy owl must heed him attentively. He could be very dangerous. A wolverine. This giant marten can cover up to 45 kilometers in a night in its relentless search for food. In the winter, it'll eat anything it can find. Nothing escapes its highly tuned sense of smell. A leftover carcass distracts its attentions. However, its attentions don't go unnoticed. The lynx is not impressed when it